Welcome to Sad Boys, a podcast about feelings and other things also. I said it very angry today, and I'm Jarvis. And today we're joined by, we're joined by two very special guests, our friends Nwadiwe and Brian David Gilbert.
Hello, fellas.
Gilbert.
I've been playing too much. I know exactly who you thought about. I know exactly.
BDG, Brian David Gilbert. We'll be talking about it.
And Jordan is not going to speak for the entire time.
I was going to make a joke about this, and you know when you combine words in your head? Anyway, this is Brian Gilbert now.
Brian Gilbert. Hi, nice to meet you.
Also, which is funny because when you had your longer hair, you kind of had like a Kibler thing going.
Yeah.
Now you cut it, but it looks. Good.
Shout out Brian Kibler. We played Hearthstone back in the day. He doesn't know it. We like played each other on Legend Ladder. We added each other back. I would sometimes message him and say, "Hey man, I like your streams."
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I'll connect y'all because you should definitely do Commander at home.
Oh yeah, I'm down. Okay, so anyway, let's before we get into the magic talk.
Yes.
How's everybody doing?
How are you guys doing?
Ooh. Yeah, I'm doing really well. Yeah.
Mostly because of Magic the Gathering, which I hate to bring it right back to it.
Yeah. No, it is our we have all collectively joined a cult.
It is. It was fast. I think
it was everything I needed because as soon as I did it, everyone was coming in because I remember the timing of it all. Because I went to PAX East and my friend Annika Sela, I was playing with their deck and they were like, this one's not as good as this one. And then I beat them with it. Yeah. I was like, oh yeah, no, this is your good one. It's just more complicated because they're newer to Magic.
Right.
And then I got the bug, and then Brian.
I made fun of Iffy.
Yes. Right.
Because that was the thing is I went to PAX with him. I was there for a single day, and like I am not great at conventions, but Iffy lives for the convention lifestyle, and so like following him around the entire time and watching him get upsold like 5 different times on Magic stuff, where he's like, I think I'm just gonna buy this Commander deck, and he's like, well, I should get a playmat too. Right, and also, if I'm thinking about it, I really do need some more dice for whatever.
You need some more dice.
I watched you drop like $100 to $200 before we had our like PAX thing, and I came home and I was like, Karen, you'll never believe it. Like I've watched Iffy spend so much money on this.
Guy.
And at that same time, Karen was like, well, they do have Lord of the Rings decks, and that's all Karen needs to get into something. And she's like, if I buy the Commander decks, will you play with me? And I was like, maybe. I'll think about it.
It's a classic adult nerd dilemma where really we can pretend it's not fun to bully people.
No.
It's a little bit fun.
It really is.
But also we like the thing.
Yes,
like you're into Warhammer.
Yes.
And that shit's weird to me.
Well, don't worry. Just the time will come because I will have multiple. Well, you say that.
I said that about Magic, but I'm saying it about Warhammer.
And you do know that
about
you do
Warhammer.
know there's a Lord of the Rings Warhammer
I
army.
know, but I'm not telling Karen about it. And she's not allowed to watch this
We bleeped that out. Yeah. We're like, we scramble it in the frequency Karen can't hear.
Not able to hear.
I just started training models.
Ooh, okay. See, it's so
Me and
good.
Brian and I were in the
it
aisle.
it's your birthright.
Brian and I were
Tekken.
Yeah, like it's so funny because that and when because Rahul Kohli is
shout out Rahul.
And like I realized because I've read a few of the books now how like I was like, oh, this is like a very British game, like this is their shit.
It's fantasy to imagine that we could be as jacked as a space marine.
That's
what England
the real
likes
wish
to think it
fulfillment
is.
for the Brits.
That's why it's just a lot of British people going like, and then we'd put ourselves in an engine and we'd set ourselves on fire because it's what we deserve, but it's pretty cool.
Yes.
Brian and I were in the aisle of a card shop last week in like the Warhammer section going, can you believe people do this? This is ridiculous.
Just Henry Cavill ripped.
Are you kidding me?
But it's so funny because it's Brian specifically is just so close, like that Cheeto holding a door closed because like the jump from like Gundam building to painting miniatures.
Oh, are you building
It
Gundams?
is close. I do love Gundam.
Well, so
I do love that a lot.
Here's the thing.
I know I'm very close to that.
No,
the thing is,
no.
I'm within spitting distance, which is why I have to keep a heart. Like, look, I accept that I've gotten really into Magic. It's taken a month to be like fully obsessed.
A weird like, you know, goal with us and I'm actually to where I can force you to do it. Where it's like, okay, but if we do get the international I'm actually tour, you gotta paint minis with me.
We want you to be dizzy from the lead paint that we force you to use.
You know what's funny is I have also built Gundams, but I've never painted them.
You've never done the lines?
No, because this is just because I was in Japan and I bought a model. And I built the model, but then I was also sad that I didn't paint it because I was like, oh, it's just like purple.
Well, it's so funny because painting always seems so daunting to me. And now I'm like, ooh, I do need to go back and like build some Gunpla and paint it. But I have such a huge backlog that it's keeping me.
Yeah, I have a backlog on my real life.
That's why
errands.
That's why I think I like Magic so much because it's easy to just like pop and go. Like
Yeah,
I'm ready to play. But with Warhammer, like I was talking to my buddy Jeremy, he was like, "Yeah, we're in that old world tournament." I was like, "Oh, I haven't even opened that box." So I'm like speed painting all these Bretonnian knights.
That's a lot more effort. And I appreciate that that's like a fun thing to do on your own. Like the thing that I think that really sold me on Magic was not just that I love deck building and like it's been years and years. I was saying that like the reason it got me so into it was that I had all the genetic precursors to it. It just hadn't expressed itself until I was in the right environment.
Yes.
And like the fact that I can just like play with Karen at night, like we could just play Magic together, just the two of us, as opposed to once again having another hobby that isolates me in a dark room to paint my little miniatures. Like that's the hard part for Warhammer to me is that it's not, it does cut any, like I don't need anything else to stop me from socializing. I'm very capable of doing that on my own.
Yes,
I don't need
100%
anything
agree.
else. Magic forces me to socialize, and that's a
We've
good
invented a
thing.
new type of beer. Like, oh no, I'm good, please. I'm fine.
But that was gonna say that was what got me back into it because when I was like a kid, I used to go to Pokemon events and Yu-Gi-Oh events, and then when I was in high school, I would do Magic drafts and things like that. And so I also had all the genetic precursors and all of the like muscle memory and everything. And then I just stopped because I didn't have anyone around me to play with, and I was just like focusing on my other like little things. Yeah. And because I already knew how to play Magic, two like was just waiting for a bunch of people to be like, Commander being a 4-person game where you could just hang out with your friends and like, socialize was such an easy like on-ramp back into it. Yeah. But I do think I only want to play Commander with friends.
Yes.
Because I don't know what y'all's experience has been with like going to events, but sometimes you play against people who are not fun to play.
Oh yeah.
I think there is I mean, that's the thing about like fighting games historically has been my hyper focus on release because I like figuring out the meta along with everybody else. But then ever since I left San Francisco, which is where the majority of that community was,
True.
at least my one for that, it has only become like picking up the basics and then going in the ranked. And that is very unsatisfying because not only are you just going to be bad, but you're not getting feedback and it's never a tense situation where you're close enough. You're just way worse or way better. But it also lacks the immediate gratification of opening the booster pack.
Yeah.
Or even, I was in my Marvel Snap bag for a little while.
The connection is, I played a lot of Hearthstone. That was like my more in the 2010s, I was doing that. And then the developer, the lead game designer of Hearthstone, who's also a Magic player, Ben Brode, moved over to create Second Dinner. Second Dinner made Marvel Snap. Ben Brode has been on Brian Kibler's Commander at Home. Everything is connected.
Brian David Gilbert.
And
Brian David Gibler.
I also, genetic predisposition, I played Magic a ton as a kid. But then I moved to college. No one else played. Tried going to a local tourney type environment. Nobody has the accessibility or willingness to teach, learn, and play.
I will say that was like, as soon as I was like a week after we got into Magic, I was like, okay, I want to go to a pre-release event. I was like telling that to Karen. Karen, I think told you told Iffy. Yeah. We all like, ended up at the same pre-release.
It was like a fun thing where we all like arrived. It was like, everyone's here.
It like gave me a dopamine explosion that I never thought I would have, where it was like, simplistic because there didn't need to be a big organizational thing because we are all friends who have this like common interest. Yeah. We ended up at the same place and got to enjoy each other's company.
Friends and friendly people and good vibes are like the ingredients that you need because like, for example, I'll shout out Rachel Weeks. Who sat next to me at the event, who some of you guys know.
Oh yeah.
And we just followed each other, just mutual friends. And then like I, went 2-1 at my next pre-release and I was really excited about it. I posted should have gone 3-0, but it's fine. I posted my deck list and then she like responded fire emoji and I was like, I'm like trying to build. She's like, this deck list looks good. And I was like, thank you. You know what I mean? And I was like, that kind of encouragement like is very meaningful to me.
Oh yeah.
in contrast, I went to an event last night because I can't stop, won't stop, and I played against a guy who was nice, like in the sort of set phrases of like politeness, where it's like, oh, no problem, whatever. But then, like as I was like untapping my cards, he would like untap them for me.
Oh,
Or he would like,
what the hell are you doing?
he would like
That's not
fix. He would like fix my things.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I was just like, hey, I'm gonna fix the board state. Give me a second. Like, I'm tired. It's like 11 p.m. because this event started late.
That is bad.
I know. Well, it's
That's
also,
bad
I feel like
jamming.
that's
I
like
literally, I
cardinal
scooped.
sin.
I was like, hey, you know what? And he was also playing a really grindy deck. And I just played a really, really like good match with somebody, but it went to draw. Like, and it was so long and grindy. And that guy was a gem of a person, really pleasant to play with.
Yeah.
And then I went to this and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to scoop because I'm here to have fun. And this is harshing my vibe. And then I got matched up with my friend Ari, who I went with. And I was having fun again suddenly. And I was like, oh, right. Okay, just I just need to like not let certain people like ruin my mood.
Oh, yeah. It's very like, so what's been funny about, you know, coming back into Magic and coming back into the like Magic creator space too is like, as someone who does a bunch of things and who's like known from a lot of things, like if someone's like, oh, I know you from Smosh, or oh, I know you, like I remember when I first started, I used to be like, well, I do TV stuff, and now I'm just like, no, you find me where you find me. The only time I've started correcting people was like when people were like, oh, you're getting into Magic. I was like, no, I played since high school. I was like, and like not even played since high school. Like a lot, the show that I did for Magic predates a lot of Magic shows. So on Geek and Sundry, we had a show called there was the Spell Slingers, which was the YouTube one, but on this Twitch stream we did Mulligan, and that's how I met Brian Kibler. That's how I met a lot of Channel Fireball.
I know. That's how we met the first time.
I really screwed the pooch at the beginning of this.
But yeah, like, I met so many people, and then I got real into it. I went to my first Grand Prix, and then I was kind of like in the mix playing it. I met like a lot of good friends, but then like as I just got busy, and didn't have many people to play with, it really kind of started waning. But one of the things that made really kind of harshed it was people who are like that. And I know that it comes with the territory, specifically the type of game it is, you know? But you know, there was one instance where a guy like when I did Grand Prix Vegas, it's in the Las Vegas Convention Center, which we'll all see at MagicCon. I'm so sure.
Oh, I'm going to go to MagicCon now. That's happening. That's in October.
That's in Vegas.
We're going to talk
Vegas, I think,
off air. Don't worry. It was huge, and it took me probably, I'd say, if I'm being generous to this guy, I'm gonna say 10 minutes because I think 15 minutes is a DQ, but it definitely was not that long. And I sit down and he goes, oh, you're disqualified. You took too long. Mind you, I'm looking around seeing people getting to their seats and all this. And he's like, no, you took too long. You can't play. And I was like, what do you mean? He calls judge over and the judge is so confused. He's like, no, he's fine. We play. I win first round. He wins second round. Third round. This was, and funny enough, was for Modern Masters. Oh, okay. I want to say 2015.
Yeah.
2014,
oh, wait,
2015.
No, there's just one Modern Masters.
2014, 2015. Either way, big it was big worm, couldn't stop it, pull an O-ring, and I was like, oh, finally. And I was like, wait, I'm not playing white. Turns out when he O-ringed me the previous round, it shuffled in, and the judge was very quickly like, double DQ, you have not enough cards, you have an unauthorized card, you're out. Which is so funny because I was like, if you didn't call that judge over, I would have just been like, oh, my bad, you win, and scooped. But because you wanted to be an asshole,
the judge
I'll
bring us both down.
Yeah. Well, no, I didn't even.
Well, he brought
the
you
judge.
both. Yeah,
the judge. I didn't get to say anything. The judge immediately, and I was like, oh yeah, because the judge was pissed at you because you were being a dick. And he was like, I shouldn't have took this match. And we all just looked at him.
Took this match.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so later in the Planeswalker Lounge,
that is a good call when you lose anything.
well, here's the,
I shouldn't have took this match.
yeah, I know.
I should have never tried ever. In
At divorce court.
But yeah, it's
I
just-
shouldn't have took this match.
with this game, you'll get to the point where there's so many people who are so confident they have the best deck. And it's not even like in the farthest reaches. Just early on, they're so sure that they have the best deck that when they start to lose, they stop like considering the game and start trying to win in meta ways. That's like, oh, this is wrong. Or you're disqualified for this. And I was like, you're never going to make it past day one if that's what if you're already day one trying to tweak the outside of the game, that deck's not going anywhere, buddy.
I think being a good hang is the first casualty of any hobby for a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
Where they can't make it a hybrid of something you still do for fun, or at the very least like find the fun in whatever level you are at. And in some cases, we have friends that either content creation that they get that they're sated by but are still making professionally, or like a podcast they've made for a bunch of years and they're sick of doing and they hate the co-host, but it's like now they're like socially obliged.
Oh, sorry.
Kind of decent.
Wait, are you referring
Who
to
could be
something
that?
specific?
Yeah, who's
Unrelated.
That was Gilbert.
Oh,
That was all Gibbs.
Yeah, Gibbs.
But I respect those of them that can separate themselves from the meta for the purposes of work, and then indulge in like, hey, we're having Commander night at my house. It's the best time. But it is a craft. I think
And I will say that, like, on the whole, in general, Magic players are cool and nice. In the same way, in every hobby, most people are cool and nice. It's just you remember the bad ones so much more. It's the same thing where it's like, the people who are like, I can't play this fighting game anymore because this woman's boobs are smaller now. And it's like, those people are not everyone. That is a very specific subset, and they suck. And everyone in the hobby knows that they suck. It's the same thing with Magic. Right?
I know. I feel
did the boob size change affect her hurt box? Is the real question.
we're kind of referencing it, but that's what's been so interesting about like a lot of the like Gamergate 2 Stellar Blade weirdos going on. The guy who made the Firefall bus, all like
creator of Young Shadowheart mod.
God.
He all this stuff happens and you're online and it seems like the biggest
boot up the mod. He has an
that?
honest thing. It's ready to go.
Perfect queen.
this is so old.
The way you are.
But
Jordan got me this.
I can't take a 50-year-old man who uses a like anime lowly version of himself as a VTube seriously. But it's you're when you're online and you're on Twitter, it seems like it's like that's the zeitgeist, and then you like step outside, you go to like a GameStop or something. Like I challenge everyone who like kind of feels overwhelmed with this, go to the GameStop and ask someone what they think about Stellar Blade, and they're like, I don't know.
What is that? Is that Bayonetta? Why is Bayonetta in this?
Bayonetta.
What happened to Bayonetta?
Bayonetta. I love the King of the Hill reboot. That's just him getting really into weeb stuff.
Oh wait, hold on. I feel like AI is going to make that happen tomorrow.
Well,
Bobby's in the
partner,
room.
I've been watching myself a little bit of Mecha.
Bobby doesn't even have one waifu.
That's really good, Hank.
You better catch yourself. Well, partner, you better catch yourself and touch some grass, man.
I'll tell you what. I can't do it anymore. Me and my friends used to say, "I'll tell you what" over and over again in Hank Hill voice.
Dangle to the stars. Spiral to the heavens.
Follow the Hearthstone.
So we've prepared. We'll move on from the magic moment, but it'll probably come back.
Oh, that would actually be a great show.
Yeah, the magic moment.
That is nice.
This magic moment. You license it. You use all your budget on that. Song.
You guys should do the show, and I won't get back into Magic, and I'll be off mic, and I can yell like, "What?"
Yeah. That'll work.
I'm dragging you into magic hand and fist.
I do have an Amazon cart of like, which one should I get that I'll show you after this.
Oh yeah, and I am gonna. So I want to host like Karen and I were like two minds about this, where we want to like host for beginners.
Yeah.
To just teach people. I know you already know like how to play.
I know base
in
Magic.
general.
I played so little Commander. I might as well play.
I would say that like what's funny is I will probably only play Commander with friends because it has some. It's the social dynamics of it extend beyond the game.
Oh yeah,
because there's also an issue of like the power level of decks.
Yes,
and so when people play competitive, they really want to win. So they like. And then what I've heard is that people like I met some really nice people at the event last night, and one of them after we played, he was like, sometimes you play against someone and you're like, that was a really pleasant person to play against. And he said that about me, and I was like, great. And then his buddy was telling me about like how they go to like some Commander nights in public events, and people will lie about the power level of their decks. So they'll be like, this is a 6 out of 10 or whatever, and then they'll be like, turn 1, boom, 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 boom.
But also to me, like that's been the new thing where I'm like for most things I've been able to like zip back in, but when people like gauge power level, I'm like, how are you gauging that?
Yeah,
but I am proud.
A little
that,
scouter, dude.
Yeah, because like
It's power level 6, but my cards are worth $7,000.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. We were talking about competitive EDH and stuff. And like I said, my friend who I've just been barking at about because I was like, you need us box buyers to buy those singles, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think to your point, I think it's more of a, I like it as like a social, it's like a board game.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've some bad fucking board game nights where the alchemy of it is just wrong.
Well,
Like any
and
party or hang. Like,
Yeah.
And it gets real fun when you get those super multiplayer ones. Like I've done matches with 5 people. You can go up to like 5, 6, and it's still like fun. You'd think it'd break it, but I think it makes like those commander specific cards where it's like you draw as many cards as you have opponents. Like shit like that gets crazy in a fun way.
The reason that there can be commander play series on YouTube that like get hundreds of thousands of views, like, you know, Commander at Home or Shuffle Up and Play that the professor does, is because when you get the right personalities, and it's basically just like a podcast where people are like shooting the shit and making jokes and like making fun of their situation, or like playfully doing the politicking of like, oh, well, I think if he's got the threat, and you're like, what do you mean? I simply have a few lands down. It's like, we know your little combo shit. You know, like that type of.
I've run D&D campaigns, at least like for people that have never played before. DM'd a handful, and it's like I was not in charge of the structure of the group and who was involved. It can universally be people I get along very well with, or even very close to, and are all close to one another. And it's wrong.
Yeah.
And if I were to take 1 or 2 of those people, trade them out for 3 strangers they don't even know, but just happen to fit them, take the surplus, do the same, it would work. And it's just trial and error.
It's forming a band.
They vote one of them dies.
I just want to point out that I think at least 3 times we have said, and we're going to move on from Magic real quick, and then have gone right back into Magic.
Oh, no, see, that's the thing about Magic.
It's fun, yeah.
But when you're thinking about it, that's a lot like turn 2 in Magic. Is that you want to...
where you draw a card, and then you play with your cards, and you play Magic.
And then you play Magic.
For additional turns.
Yeah.
There's like a be right back, and it comes back. We have long facial hair.
We put your bones.
But okay. So we prepared two little stories today that kind of match the sensibilities and personalities of each of our guests. So for Iffy, there's a new white woman saying the N-word.
I was really worried that you were going to say this one was for Brian. As our resident white guy here who loves to say the N-word. Right, just like,
no one clip that.
No, please, I swear to God.
There's a lot of context.
And for Brian, Trump. He's pretty cool, huh?
For Brian, a second white woman has said it in the N-word.
Would you actually, Brian, just for the audio listeners can't tell, but you can take the MAGA hat off. Just
I'm sorry, I will go ahead.
It reveals a second MAGA hat. What the hell?
This woman is so, like, it gets scary out there.
Should we jump into one, Jacob? Take your pick, dealer's choice.
Yeah, let's get her saying the N-word. Let's see
the master at work.
Because it's so funny.
Oh, wait, yeah. Actually, before we go to this one, because this is the one where she says the N-word, right?
No, I think it is. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, because I remember I didn't know what the hubbub was about. I was like, oh, who's this little trad wife baddie? And then,
that's why it was an iffy story.
The thing is, that's
he was like, I watched it with the sound off.
I don't see anything wrong with this woman.
I don't know why everyone's mad at beautiful people.
This is just like what my life's like. Go ahead.
Iffy, unquote tweet this. Put the sound on.
Turn the sound on.
Timestamp.
Okay, this time I have a beef with the male community. I give my criticisms to all because we are all about equity and inclusion here,
We should
right?
think about what she's making.
So I'm sick and tired of all girls getting blamed, or like certain guys, thinking that all girls are gold diggers. I don't know if it's because you get your information from those street
that's a lot of
interviews
garlic
in, like, Miami at 3 a.m. outside of a nightclub. You're getting the opinion of some dumb whores and immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card.
Extra.
Yes, they are.
Jesus, this is fun. By the way, I only saw the clip that we're getting to. It's so bad even before we get there.
This has a kind of, the pacing is great.
Yeah,
the escalation at play. It's like
These
immigrants,
stupid girls, who, by the way, I mean, stupid
bitches are
And they're whores, by the way, as well.
Yeah, I was originally going to make the joke and be like, when she was like, I'm just calling out the male community. And I was like, oh, is that what you're calling it? And then I was like, oh, no, you literally do call out immigrants and then immediately say the N-word.
She's like tickling the boundary. Like,
You know, if you watch like one of those YouTube freestylers like Harry Mack, and they'll just like be like doing this immaculate freestyle, weaving every word, and then someone's throwing another word out there, and they just work it into the freestyle. That's what I feel like she's doing with like the just list of grievances.
Someone has the cue cards up with all of the most inflammatory words.
Immigrants.
Say something about this one.
I'll also acknowledge we're all men talking about this, so just
listen up.
okay. All right, so let's let the woman speak.
Yeah. Let's see what she has to say.
Immigrants fresh off the boat looking for a green card. Yes, they are probably gold diggers, but that's the exception. I'm the rule. Everybody I know who's married right now, they're married to broke ass niggas.
Whoa! Can we go to a second before it? Because you can see her gassing herself.
She was preparing.
It, yeah.
Also, what is wait.
But also,
That's not how that phrase works. Like the exception, I'm the rule.
I'm the
What is
rule.
she-
What do you mean you're the rule?
I am the one who knocks.
Yeah, that's not.
yeah.
That first off, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in
Here's
that
the thing.
sentence.
I specifically take issue with this.
Yeah,
one.
it's the
It's
first
actually
one.
incredible that this is such a weird, convoluted 2 minutes that
Yeah.
her saying the N-word is like the
So yeah,
fourth
like.
most interesting part of it.
But also, what's so interesting about it to me is, we often talk about how white people shouldn't say nigga or any version of the N-word. And I think the proof here is how bad it fumbles out of her mouth.
Right, you can
like,
tell
immediately.
like nigga. Like what was,
Did she say broke ass?
broke ass
That rocks.
nigga. I was like,
she's not comfortable with it.
It seems like she's reading like the like reading off of the lyric.com.
Clips of Aiden Ross just
Yeah.
trying to use as much AV as possible.
The
Yes.
English teacher teaching To Kill a Mockingbird and being like,
Right.
we're going to read
Oh,
this
yes,
out
yeah,
loud
yeah,
right
yeah.
now. And it's okay
it's in a
because
literary context. And we're quoting.
And it's not going to be weird because we're all going to say it at the same time.
yeah, wait. So you hear it? Someone, a child hears them
echoed
chanting it.
through
Yeah.
the hallways.
Let's just
no.
call him Jim.
Yeah.
Let's stick with that.
She went for the kickflip. She landed it. It was sloppy.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
sloppy. And now how does she ride away?
Yeah.
The lean in for that.
And they don't care. We don't give a fuck.
There was
That's
just
money.
they're married too. And then
And then
just
she's
a
like,
little.
all right, I'm going to let you. I know what I said. I'm going to crack some pepper here.
God.
Yeah.
That truly is the teleports behind you moment.
Yeah.
He's like, who am I married to? No need.
I know. She used a double grip stroke of the pepperoni.
Again,
does
this is
feel
the
like
problem.
it's
We have
supposed to
to.
be.
We have
Yeah,
to
like
turn
I
off
feel
the
like
thing.
that's the magic trick to make us forget.
He just swallows an eggplant.
yeah.
There's too much moving things. It's like when you watch someone juggling on a unicycle.
Yeah.
And like breathing fire or whatever.
Yeah. But also to keep track for this chicken, I'm assuming hot sauce, olive oil, a shit ton of garlic,
And all of the garlic powder.
Yeah, all of
pepper,
the-
of course.
Yep.
and
they say
now
white people don't season
black
food.
pepper. Yeah.
Yeah, so what's the problem here?
Yeah. Also, there seems to be a bunch of just empty green bottles behind her. It seems
Yeah.
like she's at one of those LA rental
Right,
Yes,
like
yes,
a
yes.
peer
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she's
It's
at a
built for an
WeWork.
Airbnb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't care less about your fucking money, okay? My type is broke mechanics and surfer hippie dudes who just want to live in a shack and surf and have babies. All I ask of a man is that you're competent, you're not a pussy.
And
if
you're not
somebody broke
black.
into our house.
Yeah, yeah.
Those
I know.
are the only
I know.
rules.
It's truly like she chose the like whitest,
The whitest
thing.
versions
But also-
of like quote unquote blue
Yes.
collar.
And
Yeah.
as
or,
like
I want
a
to-
LA SoCal native, nothing about you would attract a surfer hippie dude. Like there's not a like broke mechanic for sure. You're a mechanics like you. They have you above their locker. Like that's. But like like
And you're brave enough to say what they never could.
yeah. This is wild.
It's funny
She's
too.
more veteran coded. I feel like that would be more the,
Yes.
the trad aesthetic.
Yes.
What's funny is I like use the N-word extremely sparingly because I'm like, if I'm using it, it has to add to something. And it's just so unnecessarily thrown in there. Just for the shock value.
Because like if like honestly, and this is going to be the wildest thing I might say this whole episode, it would make more sense if she was saying like, all of her friends are married to broke black dudes, because there's no reason to use the royal nigga in this. Because I am a strong proponent of the royal nigga, where like I'm calling like, my nigga Brian,
Of course,
the royal, the fact checker nigga, like that. Like that makes sense.
Yeah,
but
look,
like,
could you be more specific? Oh no,
okay, I know which nigga you're talking about now.
Exactly.
But like this one,
the
it
royals
just
do say it about one of them.
This is like a very specific version of like white person who grew up rich and has only been around white people and is like, well, let me just try saying this because none of you are going to call me out on it.
Yes.
And
It's
so
like-
let me just give it a shot.
It's like, I want to be goth, so it's the first day I wear eyeliner. I'm like, I wonder if anyone's going to
Well,
say
it's so
anything.
funny because it feels like after you said that, as if she heard the song Gold Digger and thought like broke niggas like that's the whole title of it. It's like when someone isn't making
That's the
money, they're
alternate title
broke
for Gold
niggas.
Digger,
Yeah, if you don't make money, you're a broke niggas. And it's like, no.
She thought it was like a seminar.
Yeah. It's like you have rich dad, poor dad, broke niggas.
But what's
I feel like
interesting
he is saying she's a gold digger. Can I just say, in that song, it really seems like Kanye thinks.
Yeah, I
gold
think
digger.
he's.
No, it's like you don't have to be rich, you just can't be a broke nigga.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You have got to be
I've been told this.
you've got to be a surfer, dude.
You got to be a surfer. Yeah. Well, her point, it's so funny because now I see the
Now you
point
see
she's
her point.
making is that she's like, no, we're not after money. We're, everyone I know is married to someone who doesn't have that much money. I, for example, like I'm the rule. I would like a mechanic or a surfer, but like everything that is pictured is not a mechanic or surfer salary. So one, you're lying about that. Two, like,
It seems like the only
does-
fault she's outlining there is being black.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, she doesn't care about the financial part, apparently.
Yeah.
So all that's left.
The thing is, like, this will. What you were saying, where it's like speed running to go into alt-right commentator, right? Like this is the way you do it, which is like become a parent for some reason, have just enough that like the super conservative people will be like, but she said it in a positive way, and it's like, no, but she should have never said it. That's the problem, right?
Well, and then everyone shares like rappers bringing up a white person who says it in their song, and there's all this. Well, it's funny because everyone, I think that the like gold that is like being a right-wing talking head isn't as rich as it is, because a bunch of people was like, she got fired for a job, and was like, well, who cares, now she's going to be a commentator. I was like, no, it's like, I think this is going to be she's going to be a one nigga wonder.
We'll see. Well, this as someone who watches weird like engagement bait TikTok all the time, this has all of the elements of every other engagement bait TikTok. But it's like a race to the bottom where there's only so much weird cooking you can do. There's only so much like it like almost doesn't. It's like weird that I'm projecting all this stuff, but everything about it feels very calculated.
Oh no, I think you're right. I think she hit on all of the like the big thing that got her shared is that she said the N-word.
Right.
But she is hitting all of their talking points before we even get there. So you're right. It really does feel like a pitch for this. And I think that the grift is real. We know it. And I just think it's not as like rich as people play it up to be. But I think that there is a element to it because this is so very well shot. This isn't
It's
like
actually oddly insecure in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Where there's it feels like front porching to highlight a lot of dog whistle points like immigrants to be like, and like it's a bunch of like I'm like you guys, I just like all the same stuff and then do you like me? Is everybody
well, no, it's
weird.
very pick me where it's like we don't even want you to have money.
Yes.
But
We
it's
want-
like-
But it is the same thing of like I'm not materialistic. The only materialistic people I know are immigrants who come here specifically to marry the rich people, and they're gonna marry your husbands. And it's like, no, stop.
Hide
it.
your kids, hide your wives.
Like it's very clearly has all of the underpinnings where it's like I know I know what you're trying to say, and most people wouldn't go out and straight up say the N-word, and now I'm clarified. I know, yeah, you're right. This is exactly what you were trying to do.
That is
Everything
the
about
only
this.
rule she's an exception to, is saying the N-word.
Yeah.
That's is it that what she said? I'm not the
the rule.
exception, I'm the rule.
I'm the rule. It's such a funny line to me. Wait, Jacob. So she responded to this.
She posts a response.
Oh boy.
Oh,
Have
great
y'all seen this one?
t-shirt.
Because it's great.
Well, look, it's like you said, step 2, wearing the
It's
American
the American flag.
Yep.
By the way, prepare for the most telegraphed video of all time.
Can I get the?
Oh, no.
So wait, does it say New York City at the top?
Yeah, it
That's the
does.
state flag of New York.
Yeah, the straight flag of New York.
Yeah, yes.
Great.
City of Angels.
So, a recent video of mine seems to have upset members of a certain community, and it
Broke.
The broke community.
Being broke, yeah.
all the backlash just really made me, just really do a deep dive, like do a soul search. And after all that, I still couldn't find a care.
You're going to call us racist. You're going to call us potential Timothy McVeighs. Fuck you. War.
I mean,
Oh, hold on.
Wow.
Wait, I didn't know about this part.
Wow.
well, also,
That's
the
like
most-
they died in Call of Duty. It's the First Amendment.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, this is such base level stuff of like the people who are like, I can say this because it's free speech, and it's like, yeah, and we can call you a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I
like,
know,
that's
that's
fine.
I think that's
fine.
That's how it works.
like, it's so wild how horny people are for the Constitution that just do not understand the grasp of it. Where it's like, it's my First Amendment right. Yes, you can say that, and you won't go to jail for it. That doesn't mean we have to
you're
put
not
up to
protected
it.
from
Yeah,
consequences.
you're not protected from like societal norms with your First Amendment free speech.
You can also have a gun, but it doesn't mean you can do everything with a gun.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, like, here's the thing: is like, yeah, the reason you're able to have a gun is so that you can have this militia. Like,
Who
like,
was the guy
good
in
luck
that clip,
versus
by the way?
drones.
I have no idea who that person
I don't know.
was.
It looked like that one British dude who.
Tread lightly.
Oh, I know who you're thinking of.
The one who's the British Tucker Carlson, basically.
Piers
But-
Morgan?
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Pierce, but what's fun is that if you go back to the way he pursed his lips, he turned his mouth into a rectangle.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wait, just wait till he like
You.
there.
Whoa.
He just like
Wow. Perfect.
yeah, perfect.
The thing is, I was
rectangle.
gonna look at this and forgive me to this actor, but I was like, he kind of looks like the dad from Paddington. But then again, that's how every British man over the age of 50
That's
looks.
correct,
So
yeah.
it is just kind of
This
how
is,
it
I mean, he kind of looks like Charlie Kirk. The
Yeah.
face to head proportions.
Oh
are
yeah,
interesting.
I know. A lot of
Looks like he's
right
carrying resources in his mouth.
Yeah.
I don't even know if like any
Sorry
of
if you
this.
said.
Oh no, I was just saying a lot of right wing talking heads had big ass foreheads.
I don't even know if this guy's in context. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No.
Like,
Well,
because who knows?
Is this Larry Flint? Is that who the quote is from?
No, Larry Flint was an old like.
Yeah.
Let me do a little googling for that before I start
Thanks.
speaking.
See?
Fact checker. This is what I'm
Oh
here.
wow, this guy.
God,
But
this
also
nerd,
the
dude.
like he truly like that was the most uncharismatic. Like I hate to say this, but there are way more charismatic right wing talking heads
Wait a
that could have
second.
like
Oh, yeah.
really
He was the
popped
founder
off.
of Hustler magazine.
What?
That, wait,
Maybe
scroll
we
down,
lied about
Jacobs.
him. Maybe. Oh, that's so funny.
CNN, Larry Flint, founder of Hustler magazine, dies at 78.
I wonder if like
Nice.
that's so funny because I wonder if his free speech was talking about like the freedom of like having like porn and stuff like that.
yeah.
And something that you are actively against now. You're quoting him.
That's so funny because
Yeah.
no one does. They don't do the research, right?
They never do.
They see the quote and they're like, "Oh, I don't need to learn what this person was about." It's like when Martin Luther King quotes get misappropriated.
It's also, I think there's like a flat association of the term offensive, the word offensive, with a specific ideology and audience getting offended, not like. Honestly, the sentiment of the quote saying that like if there's one thing, one thing that defines free speech is that it should be free speech for offensive speech.
Yeah.
I
Because
guess
if you're not
that's-
offending anyone, you don't deserve to be
I
protected.
guess it's the most. I guess that's true, or at least interesting. But
it
doesn't mean a demographic being offended. It just means anyone. Like
Yeah.
that's the point. Because if you change, I don't know, the power
Also-
structure at play, somebody else would
Also,
be at a target.
the protection should be against power.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like
It's
not lateral,
It's like being able to criticize the king and not die.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's exactly
you
what
can't
it is.
do.
That's basically what it's built
Yes.
for. But they have a weird understanding of power. Who holds the power?
Was it him?
It's Breitbart.
Oh, yeah.
Of course it's
Oh,
Of course. So yeah, this I mean confirms the fact that it's like if
he's
she
dead
edited
too.
that in,
Hell yeah, rock
she's,
on.
She's aiming for this, which is like, the thing is, I don't love the fact that like there are people who are going to just again jump straight to this where it's like I'm going to show myself maybe in 3 videos and then I'm going to drop my 4th one where I say the N-word and then I'm going to be able to be on whatever Breitbart's
great
things
content
is,
strategy.
right?
Can we find out the cause of death for Breitbart? Got him.
Got him.
But I like that he did die in Ronald
Yes.
Reagan heart attack. Yeah.
Heart attack.
Yeah, dude.
Well, I love it because a lot of like, and this isn't even like a joke, but like I've noticed a lot of these like bigoted talking heads are dying of heart attack, and I was like, damn, it is like racism is bad for your health.
It is corrupting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they said he had a large heart, so he just loved too much.
Just like
loved-
the Grinch.
Yeah.
That's why they have huge heads, big brain.
Yes.
This last one, Jacob pulled just for us.
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
So she did end up getting fired from her job.
Yes.
Okay.
And then she was like, "Oh, I don't care because I don't want to work for someone who's whatever."
Wait,
And
I
then
just noticed. Sorry to interrupt. On that previous, second one, did she say? And I just can't find a care.
Yeah, I just can't find a
It's
kid.
not any phrase.
Well,
I
it's-
just don't give a care.
Well, it's so funny too because like someone
Well,
who
I mean,
just like fumbled out,
I'm the
the N
rule.
word, who's just so afraid of just saying like fuck.
And it's weird to jump all the way there and be like,
Yeah.
it's actually interesting to see what barriers she has in place.
Yeah.
mentally.
Right.
Yeah.
Haven't heard her say a regular. I guess ass is the only other curse
Yeah.
word I've heard her say.
I don't like broke people and all their crap.
Yeah.
So all those nerds in high school, like the weird theater kids and the anime people, and
Anime.
you know,
Anyway, dude.
That's why I
Yep,
knew
that's
I
us.
got clipped. Was immediately being infuriated by the way she said anime. Anime.
That's gonna be that's my daughter's name, brother.
Yeah,
That's like
Anime
when,
Anika.
There's like that Jay-Z lyric where he's saying anime, but I thought he was saying anime, and I was like, Jay-Z weeb confirmed.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We're exactly the same.
And I was disappointed.
Yeah.
know who I'm talking about, the people we didn't hang out with. So they've grown up now, and they're
Yes.
the ones making the laws. They're the Mark Zuckerbergs. They're the Faucis of the world of fucking nerds.
Oh,
That's true.
she did say the F word.
Oh yeah.
There we go.
Sorry,
That was great.
I get that. Like, it's another like virtue signal for that political ideology to go against
Yeah.
Fauci,
Right.
the lawmaker.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
don't-
The scientist is a nerd.
Like,
Yeah.
just she-
Fucking nerd. Is so
it's very funny to not mention a single person that actually makes laws.
yeah, politician.
Also, I feel like theater kids are not making laws, but
The
Look,
theater kids, they're the ones making the
the
laws.
theater kids are changing the world one single solo show at a time
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
they talk about their father issues.
Yeah,
and like,
they're-
look, hey, as a former theater kid, I can make fun of other theater kids.
Oh, yeah.
I don't take it from you. I don't take it from
Yeah.
a pretty person, especially one who says the N-word.
It
Just-
feels like the internal monologue of like a mean girl in high school.
Yeah.
Like where they're like finally I can stuff these nerds into lockers like they belong.
Hey, TikTok audience that's extremely online and angry. Do
Yes.
you remember nerds?
Yeah.
People different from you?
The people who had like niche interests, we should kill them.
Yes.
Fucking dorks that never got laid in high school, and they've got a major chip on their shoulder against the normies. That's why you see all these fat ass fucks making laws. Oh, you can be obese and anorexic. Okay, sure. They're the ones inventing clown world. They're the ones in media.
Oh, wait a second. How do I get into the beta for Clown World? How do I join the closed beta for Clown World?
Dude,
Because
I
I am
did not
trying
know
to
that
get
was
in.
still in development.
What is Clown World?
Kickstarter
I,
What is
I
she
do
even
think,
referring
Here's
to?
the thing. I do think if Biden came out and was like, here's my running partner, we're going to make Clown World. I
Yeah.
think he would do better than what he's currently
yeah.
doing.
I literally, if you did that and then there was just a video of him being I genuinely believe this, being so good at karate, I think he would win
well,
the
like a
election.
Vladimir
Any-
Putin style propaganda
Yeah,
video
just
where he
doing
just like
judo or something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's so funny because like this is obviously someone just rambling off shit with no point. Like this, like it proves the like talking head thing, because like even the most shithead of the shittiest head, like right wing talking head, they have like, you know, an agenda. They know what they're, and this person is clearly just spouting of like, what do you mean by they said you can be anorexic and obese at the same, like, what do you mean?
Dude,
like,
one of these like fat guys like Fauci and Mark Zuckerberg.
But like, I genuinely, I'm like, what do you mean by that? Like, what laws are you trying to attack by calling that out?
It's literally, there's no focus to it, because it's how can I list as many
divisive
as many dog whistles
as
possible.
But
it's like an ocarina of dog whistles.
Yeah, not even like real
Shout out
political
Koji
dog
Kondo.
whistles though, but these are like TikTok based ones. Like it was like, oh, I know all the girly pops are mad about like, you know, body shaming, so I'm gonna talk about anorexic and obesity. Like it really is like, yeah, this person is trying to get conservative dollars, which is so funny
And
because
the thing is, the one thing Daily Wire is really good at is finding the perfect balance between ideology and presentability.
Yes.
Like she is not charismatic enough or tactful enough.
Well, that's-
Ben Shapiro is a smart guy as far as just what he says.
That's the funny thing about it is
He's
like
an
you're
idiot.
doing all this, you're like burning up like your world because you think that you're gonna get a call from Ben Shapiro's like, hey, how's it going? I saw you say the N-word. Horny.
I want to
love
see
a
if
good
she
list.
like. We should do like conservative talking point bingo and see if she like
Yes.
knows
Yeah.
everything.
Actors. You wonder why actors are so
Actors.
politically leftist? Oh, right. It's because they're loser theater kids.
She really hates theater kids.
I just like it's so funny when you think about that, where it's like loser theater kids. I wish like Jason Momoa would knock on her doors like, hey,
Yeah, I'm looking at this woman and I'm thinking, looks like somebody didn't get the main part in Oklahoma. Looks like
theater
somebody
kids.
got put.
Theater kids.
I'm looking at this woman and I'm thinking, oh, looks like you were always cast as the grandma in your
Yes.
show because
Yeah.
you didn't quite have the range for it and you
Yeah.
couldn't dance very well.
Oh, you were a tree. Sucks to suck. It was like when
sorry about
how
that.
Ben Shapiro
everyone
has,
else is
like-
stupid and a nerd.
this has the energy of someone who was popular in their high school, but was like the one who was getting shit on by Regina George. Like you were not.
It's just- it's
you were
actually-
not a leader.
If you take away like the political aesthetics, because that's all it really is,
Yes.
it's aesthetics. If you remove that, she could honestly just be talking about how frustrating it is that even though my grades were perfect, I'm
yes.
not being hot. Because if you are raised thinking it's a meritocracy and then
Yeah.
you're not rewarded for what you think is merit, then your brain breaks unless you're able to learn and develop and like.
Yeah.
If you can learn and
Well,
develop, you're
because
probably
you
going to
know,
change your mind.
and I think the reason we see this in whiteness often is because I think if, like you said, if you were raised like that and you're white, you believe the system works for you in so long.
Yeah.
Where when you're a person of color, that is showed very early. You know, at
It's
a,
just-
you know,
You just think it's luck or fortune. Like, you know that there's context
like
immediately.
you as a growing up as a black person, especially me who wanted to be an actor and do things, I was like, oh, I must succeed in spite of the system. So I never am expecting it to work for me.
Right.
And every road bump that comes my way, I'm like, yep, that's part of it. Let's kind of find a way around it. But if you look like this, and we're assuming that she always has, but like if she's always grown up as a pretty white woman in wherever the fuck she lives, she was told her whole life, like everything's going to be rolled out for you. Everything's going to go good. You're always going to get the best husband. You're always going to go. This could be any number of things. This could simply be her kind of ugly friend having a hotter husband than her. You know, like anything
Right,
that
the
doesn't
grievances,
go.
like
Yeah.
because our brain, the way our brains work, there's no like extremity. Like for her, it could feel as extreme. Like her, you know, I'll say it. Her feelings are valid.
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that they are factual.
Oh, yeah.
but like
or
it
should be retained.
or shouldn't be retained, or shouldn't be challenged. But like those feelings are probably real that she's feeling, or it's a performance. And I never want to give somebody. One thing I don't like about on the internet is when people are like, "Oh, it's bait," so ignore it.
Yeah.
But it's like, but it doesn't matter if it's bait because it's still, it's still getting tons
Yeah.
of views, and it's
Yes.
still.
I
think,
and
yeah,
not
no
the majority
morals.
of people aren't
Exactly.
seeing it that.
Not
that
to
way.
bring this back to Magic the Gathering, but
Yes.
I will right now. Is that if the thing I've found in life is that I did not get into Magic ironically, but I could have imagined a time in my life when I would have, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
the thing about doing anything ironically, if you're making rage bait, if you're doing any of this, is that you have to be comfortable knowing that you could get into it for never real. That is always the case. Like every time you're like, oh, I'm gonna unironic, or I'll just ironically say slay all the time. You're gonna start saying slay all the time, and you're not gonna be anymore. And so if you're ever going to choose something to do ironically, make sure it is a nice, kind thing to do. Because if you're going to try to be like this, oh, I'm just doing it ironically, it's just satire that I'm saying the N-word. No. You are going to fall into a hole where you're like, well, it's anyone should be able to say the N-word. Anyone should be able to do these, and it just gets worse.
I'm not wrong. Everyone else is.
You're so right. There was someone at the theater, UCB, who I feel like started off as like a right-wing personality, ironically, on a podcast, and now that's who he is. And it was very funny. Like I remember it bubbled up into some big thing where his fans were attacking a show I was on because there was beef with like the podcast they were on blew up and it was a whole thing, and someone like the person that I knew kind of cut out a very specific part of the podcast to like make them look even worse, which, you know, like seeing the full one, I'd like, because I think here's the thing is I will always like, I don't need to fake the funk. Like I will be like, oh no, you were right about that. Like if I'm debating some right-wing person and they present a like verifiable fact that refutes something I believe, I'll be like, yeah, you're right about that. And then I will have a new stance based on that information. Right. And so like, I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is why they're not fucking with him. And they posted the whole thing. And I was like, damn, you're right. This did get cut to make him look worse. And they like because I was seeing on the Reddit, they were going because one of them finally slipped up and like said something racist and I retweeted it and I was like, this is what I'm talking about. And then they deleted it. And then I saw they were all conspiring on the Reddit about like these conversations. They were like, oh, he like saw the video and changed his stance. See, that's why we need to not be like, and someone was basically trying to be like, this is why we shouldn't be assholes about it. We should give people the benefit of doubt. And I was like, yeah, you're like taking steps to being a normal human, and these people are fighting you on it because it's like, but it's like, yeah, dude, it's like, that is true. But also my favorite part was when he came in and he was like, that was your friend. And I was like, dude, I was your friend. I was your friend. I was like, why don't you tell all the like racist talking heads that you were really close with the black dude, that you were friends with me. Yeah. And he just stopped replying to me. I was like, that's crazy. Yeah. Because like, no matter what is happening now, we were homies. We would do shows. We would hang out and laugh and talk. And you are now refusing to acknowledge that, even lightly, because you know your fan base is racist. Yeah. Because even though it may have started ironically, you know the fan base you have. And I think we see this a lot with YouTubers where people are afraid to condemn things that they know pay their bills.
Right,
and
exactly.
They don't I mean, this is an issue in general, but I don't think people understand the power and agency you get from a sincere apology. I think people view that only as a sign of weakness that will pull you back, as opposed to honestly, a clear apology is very effective.
I think you're right, but I do think if we're talking about in the age of internet, what makes it hard is that sometimes apologies can be a moving goalpost. And it's why you have to completely remove, like, if you are at the point where you know you have to give an apology, you need to just do it and log off. Don't go looking for everything to change.
Your apology won't be rewarded externally.
Yeah. Even if you're right, and even if you're being completely genuine, no matter what, people are going to be like, you're just saying this to save your ass. You need to like be like, whatever, and just move on, because that has created this like gray area where no one wants to apologize because they're like, well, what's the use of apologizing if I'm still going to be the bad guy? And, you know, I was reading this book on anarchy, the anarcho-blackness, and it was talking about, it was like a few chapters in, which I was like, ooh, I think this is a side of activism that no one really thinks about, where they're like, hey, in activism, if we're trying to build this, like, you know, mutual aid society, if we're trying to move forward, you're going to have to forgive the guy who was a cop today. Right. Because it's like, because if he has nowhere to go, why would he give up being who he was?
I worry about people like this, where it's like, it's so easy to, and I want to make this clear. If I was friends with this person and then they posted this video and I was unaware of this, I would also immediately distance myself from them. And this is going to be incredibly isolating for this woman.
Oh, yeah.
And
then there's going to be a bunch of people with open arms welcoming them in.
And so of course you're going to want to belong to a community that says you're right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that,
frictionlessly with no like adaptation.
Yeah, the polarization that causes from social media.
Yeah. And I'm very grateful that I am surrounded by people who would be like, hey, Brian, that fucking sucks what you said right there. Please change it. And then I also am grateful that I trust them and I love them enough that I would, right? Where I'm like, this is something that I should do because this goes both ways, right? Where you tell me something bad and I fix it, and then I tell you when you do something bad and we fix it. And we both become better as a result.
Because you're willing to listen and you're willing to be wrong.
Yes.
And it's like, I think that if you're, I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but sometimes it feels like people are too confirmed in their beliefs where they don't feel like there's, any way that they feel infallible and they aren't willing to challenge themselves or their understanding of the world.
Yeah, you make a good point because it's something I keep saying I'm going to write an essay about and never get around to. But I think Let Me Google That For You was the downfall of like internet social like contract. Because when people started hitting everyone with Let Me Google That For You, you were basically sending the message of you should not say anything online unless you're an expert about it. And with Google, you can be an expert. And, looking at it from back then, that's when Google was a little more verifiable. That's when you could be sure. But now in this day and age of misinformation where you can try and look up something to refute facts. You can try and look up, people aren't taking ethics classes. So they don't know that if you're looking up statistics about police brutality and shootings, that they should question FBI numbers or that they should question surveys.
Numbers are not as objective as people think because those numbers have to be presented in an editorial fashion. And that editorialism creates a narrative.
And humans are not very well stimulated by unarticulated numbers. Even if you want to present evidence,
how big is a billion? How big is a million?
You need to
none of it makes sense.
Kind of walk somebody through the steps of almost like you're manually massaging the neurons in their brain, where you say well, here's the number I'm presenting now. With that information, here is I'm gonna push the bike a little bit so that you don't get scared sitting on it for a little while. Because if you're too scared to start pedaling, all you're gonna say is the bike actually is bad. The bike doesn't work, and whoever invented bikes is mean to me.
Right.
Yeah, it's a hard thing where I don't think that the people who are around this person and anyone who is like this, I don't think they have an obligation to fix them. Yeah. But I do think that there is a point where if someone were to come up to me, a friend of mine, and be like, hey, I hate immigrants, right? Is that a bad thing? If I could immediately be like, there's ways that you can be like, this is an obvious, you are doing a bad faith argument. You are doing things just to rile me up. Those, don't interact with those people, especially if you are not interested in them at all. But if you are with a person and they happen to be the kind of rich white person who says the N-word when they're not around black people, be like, hey, don't ever say that again. Please don't ever say that again. And if you start saying it in this community that we are in, where we can tell you, hey, don't say the N-word because that's a dumb fucking thing to do. But if you continue to, if I don't stop you at that point, you're going to build the habit and then you're going to say it elsewhere.
Yes. And if you don't want to adapt to that request on my part, and even calling it a request is pretty charitable. If you want to, if you don't want to abide by that or at least take that on board,
then understand.
And also are going to demonize me for distancing myself. Well, then this is not a friendship.
No.
This is
that's what I was going to
I'm
say.
Providing. I'm a utility to you.
Yeah, about you were like, it's not anyone's job to. I'm like, well, if you're friends, you are. I think we've gotten real comfortable with being very disposable with people where it's like, it's friendship is work. Any relationship is work. And you don't because I feel like we've overused therapy speak and was like, I don't want to be your therapist. It's like, bro, letting your friend vent isn't being the therapist.
I don't want to do your emotional labor.
Exactly.
I'm like, well,
it's like, what is the labor here? We're friends. There should be
there's an exchange.
I get it if it's like every time this person speaks to you, they are expecting you to hear them. You don't, then not. But there's if there's equity, then there shouldn't be a problem here. Your friend should be able to come to you.
And if it's not working for you, obviously you're not required to be friends with people.
Yes.
But if for example, one thing I'll say is it is very scary to give feedback to someone.
Yes.
Not a lot of people get experience with that and you're afraid of conflict. You don't want to, start a fight.
and people are bad at doing it. Phrasing it is very difficult.
Phrasing is very difficult, but I'll give everybody here a tip for life, which is that giving feedback is one of the nicest things you can do for someone. 100%. Because it is so hard to do.
Yes.
Because it takes thought and care and consideration. It is very much like finding something at a thrift shop and going, "Oh, Jordan would like this. Yeah. Let me like give it to my friend."
And somebody reacting poorly to your feedback, if you are as considerate of it as possible as you can be, if you have a good dynamic with someone and there is established trust, the overthinking it and over preparing it shouldn't be the deciding factor of whether or not someone that you think respects you listens to you.
Yes.
Granted, try and be as precise and pragmatic as possible, but if someone gets really mad at you, then it was not your responsibility to better phrase the piece of feedback.
Yeah.
It's kind of like going through a breakup. It's like would you rather I dated you and didn't like you? What is the thing you want?
I recently was in a situation where a good friend was involved with something that I needed to give them some difficult feedback. I need to let you know how this looks. And I had to talk to like mutual friends, hype myself up about it. Hey, I'm thinking of giving some feedback about this thing, and it's I don't want to do it, but like I value this friendship, and they need to know, they need to hear it from me because I know it's going to land better than if you just hear it from outsiders. And then it's like I finally did it, and of course it was like received well, and it was fine, and it was like, thanks for holding me accountable. And like that is, you're kind of like, whew, I was worried that, this relationship I value would be challenged by this, but it creates trust that you're going to hold your friends accountable,
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been many experiences that I've had like that, where even more so, I was like where they've been, I've had people who've been like publicly held accountable for things. And, I think the knee-jerk thing for a lot of people is just like, I'm going to just stop talking to you in distance. And I never do that. I always contact them first. I'll ask them about what happened, and you'd be surprised how many people be like, "Yeah, I did," And at that point, it's like, "Well, true. I need to let you know this is why, we can't." Like it's been close enough to where it's like, "Well, this is why we're not working together anymore because of X, Y, Z." And then it's been somewhere maybe if we don't have a working relationship, it's like, "Well, this is what you're going through. I wouldn't know how to navigate that, but this is what I think the steps you should take," because I think a lot of times people get so concerned with putting out the fire when it's like, no, you need to be talking to those people and you need to get the retribution from those people, because no matter what, people are going to think what they think. But if you can get the people involved to feel like that has been resolved and you have made amends, then nothing else matters. I think a lot about when Dan Harmon got called out for, being like a shithead in the writer's room, and he did the work of like...
And treating Megan Gantz in a certain way,
Yes, and did the work with...
the certain way was like harassment. There's a whole thing, there's a back and forth. He apologized, she responded, I believe she accepted the apology.
And she accepted, and from that...
And this is many years back, so I don't want to like relitigate this.
So just know some things might be wrong because we're just like kind of briefly talking about it. But there was like the moment of after that, and people would be like, "Oh, hey, this happened," and people were able to be like, "Well, Megan Gantz said and Megan Gantz, I think, did say like, hey, we talked about it, we worked it out, I feel good."
And that doesn't mean that doesn't like affect, whether or not people want to work with him, be his friend or whatever. But it's helpful for Megan Gantz to like have their piece. And
I think you'll always hold on to a cavity in yourself if you go the easy route of like sanding down the friction of not just apologizing, but even just seeking growth and development. It's very unpleasant. It's getting back into cardio after a year of not doing it. But if you only hang out with people that say that actually, you don't have to do cardio, that's actually bullshit. You all know a little bit you do, and you're always going to have a nagging doubt, and it's going to prohibit you from actually you're going to have this membrane between you and the people you're trying to connect to, because it's going to be built on a foundation of like being kind of disingenuine. I've had, just like you were saying, as we all have, friends with public platforms that have at various levels of severity, but in all cases, it's cutting them off is a term that I think has been co-opted as like, that's just an excuse for still hanging out with people. And it's like, no, it's just the result could still be the same a little later on, but let's resolve it. And let's also, selfishly
I would like as much insight as possible from that person to be either an advocate or a critique from the outside when people ask me about it. And I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that. No. But if they then say like, they indicate no personal growth and refuse any feedback. But that's like, okay, well, we just can't get back where we were.
I think also the parasocial aspect, because like we're talking about a bunch of people who have platforms and things that get canceled, right?
Yeah.
And I think that it's very hard sometimes to understand that parasocial relationships and actual social relationships have different rules to them.
Exactly.
And so it's like, yes, if I'm parasocially, if I love this guy and then it turns out that this dude has a bunch of racist viewpoints and then doesn't change and whatever, I'm not going to watch this guy anymore. And I'm also not going to try to reach out to him and try to get him to change because he doesn't know me. It doesn't matter, right?
Yeah. And it soured the enjoyment of it. It's just a Let's Play channel, but it's in the way.
You're going to find another Minecraft YouTuber. Yes. There are plenty out there, right? Like it's not a hard thing to do, and that's fine. But
only 40% of them have done something heinous.
Exactly. There's, it's harder to find the good ones, but you can find them. They do exist. But the thing I think that especially parasocial relationships have made difficult for people is that you have to respond to these things differently, where it's like, yes, it's okay for you to see someone with a platform and be like, I'm not going to watch or interact with this person anymore. 100%. That is totally fine. And in certain cases with an actual friend, you can have that same thing. If they are doing heinous stuff, you can be like, I am cutting off and I'm not going to interact with them anymore. That's fine. But parasocial relationships, the reason I think a lot of people love them is because, you don't even realize it's not a conscious thing that you're like, I'm a big fan of having parasocial relationships. You just have them. It's because it gives you the same hits. It gives you the same serotonin. It gives you all of the joy of socializing, and it takes away all of the hard work.
All the risk, all
and
the
so
work,
it's like when I hang out with Iffy and I absolutely smoke him with my red-green deck and he doesn't want to talk to me anymore, I have to come up and be like, hey, I'm sorry about that. I promise to not play Eldrazi with you ever again. But like that's
because you can't handle it. I guess.
Exactly. And that's fine. And that's good, but it's not going to be like, oh, he had a bad reaction to me. I'm never going to talk to Iffy ever again.
So on top of that, there is also the difference between public relationships and collaborations and private friendships. So it's like because how that's perceived in a parasocial way, because if you're like lifelong friends with someone and then they have like a public scandal, let's say, depending on the severity of the scandal, there is a degree of rehabilitation and learning and growth that person has to have with the people closest to them. And it may just so happen that some of the people closest to them are people who also have platforms. Now, those people may not be collaborating anymore, but to excommunicate them from their friendship is kind of isolating. And I think you're allowed to make a personal decision about what you want to do as a friend.
That puts me on edge as well a little bit, whether this is like practical or not. There's something that just principally makes me very uncomfortable about cutting someone out. And I don't know how to be. I don't like the feeling of considering my brand and PR optics over a person I know, whether someone I like.
Private relationship.
Yes, it just feels icky, and I think that's enough of a good reason to pursue it at least tactfully.
Like if your little brother gets canceled, it's like are you excommunicating your little brother from your family?
Well,
are you canceling him in real life? It's like it's your little brother.
Yeah, I think it was perfectly hit on with like the parasocial, where it's like you have the benefit of that cutoff, and I think a lot of people don't realize that there are real relationships at play. Like I think of a lot of times when I post a picture of us at a party, someone was like, whoa, Brian and Jarvis.
Crossover episode.
Yeah. And it was like, oh no, we're
of course you guys know each other.
Yes.
But I think it's the element of like, there is that last thing that like, if we're trying to really, do this thing of like fixing and rehabilitation and like really kind of resolving things, you do want them to have a support group to help them push them along and keep them held accountable.
I feel that as a part of my responsibility as a friend.
Is you, because I think that is the other thing that people don't talk about is like when you're not involved, if it's someone who you might have worked with or someone who you're friends with, when they do something, you do kind of feel a little guilty because you're like, oh, damn, I kind of like, you may know about this person because of me, and now you feel this way. So it's like, oh, then I do want to make sure that they're doing it. I do want to call and be like, hey man, so how you feeling? All right, are you going this? Have you talked to so and so? Have you done? And once again, like I said, because we always feel like we need to do, the severity, because there is just never any nuance. We want to take sound bites and drive in. Of course, it's not a one size fits all approach. It's different reactions for different things. So I think, giving folks the benefit of the doubt in conversations like these, that we don't mean like if my friend murdered someone, I was just like, hey buddy, how you doing? Hope you're not murdering.
What's up?
Yeah.
Who's next?
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
Do you help? You want to go?
the other thing is like going back to this woman. Like, what is the best outcome? The best outcome is that people who are close to this person who disagree can have some sort of impact, like in opening their perspective. I don't have high hopes. No.
Yeah.
But
I also don't think you do have friends that are married to black people.
Exactly.
I think you're lying.
Because there's like, there's an element of shame that would have to come with that if you did have friends when you do, like, when people do these like brands, sometimes I'll see a video like this where they're doing it and they'll throw in like and I know some of my friends, and I was like, oh, that's the shame. You're saying some stuff that your friends don't agree with.
But they're also aware that like the way they present themselves and the brand that they want to maintain, I don't have black friends. Like, obviously I don't. But if I can remove them, my 19th third-degree cousin actually went on a date with a Moroccan guy. So I essentially am Martin Luther King.
I think we cracked it.
I think we've solved this issue. Thank goodness for us.
Right.
It is tough. I just want to say that, like, there's also a certain point where, like, this is an adult woman. She should know better, right? Like, we also can be very clear and be like, don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
I will say that there are definitely going to be like the edgelord, like 14, 15-year-olds who are now doing things on the internet and they don't undersize the outsizability of doing that kind of stuff online. It is very difficult. Be careful about like just posting random edgelord shit on the internet. And also I want to say that like I'm sure you've all had this experience where you've like known people in high school and then been like, I did not get along with them. And then you've grown up and you've like met again and you've been like, holy shit, you're a mature, normal human being because you have had 15 years of experience outside of the time that I've worked with you. And so I can't just think of you as that one dude who said something mean to me once, right?
I think, I don't know. We've obviously had dorky experiences in the past. Salt of the earth content creators, we're all jacked. You get, like we're, I can also crush a watermelon with my thighs. I'm just not in the mood. I'm actually busy, so I grow up. I think people at all ages, but especially in high school, any insulated environment and small towns, you can get so isolated that you don't really develop the emotional agility or social agility to be able to adapt very quickly in certain groups or immediately recognize that the reaction that you're getting is because of what you said and not because of the demographic you're hanging out with. Right. And I think all with dorky backgrounds, I think I was a slight casualty of self-identifying as an outsider to whatever degree I was. And then growing up, moving out of my relatively small area, moving to a city, and then going like, oh, a lot of the nicest guys I know were on a football team. There is no...
We all have our Sasuke moments, right? We all want to be the cool, moody guy and be like, oh, nobody understands me. And actually, I put on a smile, but I'm sad. And it's like, everyone has to go through that moment. You're going to come out the other side. And if you don't, please don't contact me. That's where it comes. It's
the reason that people think I'm such an outsider, or at least I've self-identified, is because I refuse to take my earphones out and stop listening to Dragon Force.
Exactly.
It's on me to develop those.
One of the goals of this show is like kind of, because there are those like young people who like, it doesn't, I think one thing is that we know that there's a lot of kind of pipelines that you can get caught into with algorithms and sort of the polarization of the internet. Like, one thing I try to at least do on the show is not outwardly alienate people, especially who are younger and like making mistakes and like, because those people are the most malleable. And if you can like welcome them in and expose them to like maybe a different perspective, it can at least expand their like exposure to different perspectives. I don't know. It's like easier said than done because on the internet, you can see a thumbnail of something, or you can see the outfit someone's wearing, or the setup, and just go immediately. Like we saw the American flag on a shirt, and we were like, "We know what this is."
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And
I think recording at night says a lot about a podcast. There's
recording
something
in a
about
car,
recording at night in a penthouse-ish looking environment or a WeWork style environment, and then it's on the far side of the panel is some guy with like Zane or something in that realm, a gamer tag style username. Who speaks to 30 women at the same time that they paid on Craigslist to like, do you know what a car is? You know, to like, I have no idea. And then looking directly at camera and saying, you see, you were right in whatever you felt.
And that's where things like critical thinking for me is starting to become more important than ever, because I feel like those are these videos that make people think like all women are like this because he got 30 different women to do this, and it's like, well, no,
it's a very small sample size.
I know. It
Scientifically,
really
it just falls apart as soon as you try to publish
not
that.
statistically significant at all. Not peer reviewed.
The extraneous value was probably him choosing them.
Selection bias out the wazoo.
I know. It's very interesting just to kind of see like that never be considered, that never be thought of. But I think that's things that, like from 12 to 15 to like 17, you're not really being like, oh, this is like what is the motivation behind this? Why is this? Because I think that is another thing where, you know, we've got, everyone loves to, I remember there was this video on Instagram where this guy painted his face black so that he can be in the middle of the night and like scare his wife. And people were basically like,
she's racist.
There was this, you know, the
for camouflage or to be racist?
The camouflage.
Okay,
but like, you know, there was the discuss of if it was blackface and all this stuff. And but someone was like, well, also like, your camera is perfectly set up right next to your wife as she's doing this to do this. And I was like, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing here is like, how well was this quote unquote prank if like your wife had this running camera next to her and didn't think anything of it? Because like it was because it's like, we know how like I think night vision would be shot if you were trying to hide it, and it's not. But then also, I've seen that same video happen where they went with like a navy blue, you know, where, and that didn't look like blackface because it was navy blue, but it also disappeared you in the night.
It feels like I think where ignorance is almost never a viable claim anymore. It can be a lack of care or a lack of interest in the topic and say like, well, no, that's not something I value. But there seems to be like the assumption that there's some kind of universal value set that if you are not morally right in the eyes of the people, anyone criticizing you is just wrong about their moral stance, as opposed to, well, you're going to get criticized for this thing. You knew you were. Do not die on this hill that you never even cared about. That's why you did this.
But then you get more hits and views when you're looking for support than when you're actually creating, right? So like it feels like a two-pronged attack where it's like, okay, I'll do this video and maybe it'll go viral, but if people think I'm going in blackface and there's an argument in the comments, now it's going viral because of it. And then I could potentially later be like, well, as you can see, the woke mom didn't want me to do these jicky jokes with my wife.
Once again, the SJWs are criticizing me just because I did something.
Be aware of the fact. Sorry, one final thing before we move on was just the algorithms are really good at knowing when you click on anything, and if you click on rage bait, you're gonna keep getting more rage stuff, and so of course you're going to confirm your own biases just because the algorithm wants to sell you more stuff, and that is a very, very dangerous thing. It is an incredibly dangerous thing about the internet right now, is that like it's so much easier for me to make you angry and then to show you a picture of a cool jacket, and then you're gonna buy a jacket, right? Like that's exactly what they want to do to you, and so know that the more you see a thing, the more you're going to see that thing.
Absolutely.
So please choose that thing to be videos of wombats, because that's way better than anything
We're
else.
our own worst. It's like the that test they do with children to see if they can like do delayed gratification, where it's like you get one marshmallow right now, or if you don't eat this marshmallow, you get 2 marshmallows later. Like we are so bad at not being our own worst enemies because your information diet, instead of like your real food diet when you're a child, and I'm going to equate us to children here for this reason, we as kids, like we weren't in charge of what we ate, right? Like it's like, oh, okay, this is my meal for today. And if I had my choice, I would just eat a bunch of candy. And an algorithm is that candy.
Yes.
Like, because they have found, like, we are all children, and the algorithm is like, I've got a bunch of Snickers bars, and you're like, ooh, a treat. Why do I feel so bad?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Who did this to me?
And we know for over a decade now, that, like, I can't remember the specifics, but like Facebook, either in some like whistleblower thing or some study thing, they found that they could like detect like kind of people's mood based on their feed, and they could manipulate that. And there was like a big controversy about it in like 2012. And like that is the playbook now. That it like the algorithms are like, it's not as insidious from the people who are building it standpoint. No. They're not evil and they're trying to do this evil thing, maybe someone somewhere, but like the actual like people working these jobs and doing these things are just trying to maximize.
Yes.
They're trying to make the numbers go up. They're trying to make the investors happy. They're trying to make more money. And the problem with that is the easiest way to maximize is this divisiveness, is making you feel extreme emotion. And it makes you feel, it's why 24-hour news cycles are all sensationalized. It's like there was a plane crash. Like everyone's scared to fly on Boeing planes, myself included, because the doors keep flying off. But then like we also know that planes are safer than cars, you know? And it's like, okay, it's like I am literally of two minds, and it's really hard to, I think it's very hard for probably most people to evaluate these situations in a non-emotional way. So, you know, like be easier said than done, but like be mindful of like your information consumption.
Yes. If you are sitting on the couch and you're like, oh, I should be doing work, and all I'm doing is scrolling Instagram reels or whatever you're doing, and you're like, I would much rather be doing anything other than this. Do anything other than that. It is I say this, I'm gonna watch this clip. Can you please clip this section for me so I can just have it replay like so that way it pops up on my algorithm.
Like hack your phone so it pops in.
At least every third reel it'll just pop up. It'll be like, hey, you would have so much more fun playing Elden Ring right now. Right. So go play Elden Ring. Don't beat yourself up.
You've
over
gotta
this. Just
Shadows of
Erd
Tree is about to come out. You've got to get ready.
But there's all the friction of downloading and opening it.
Terrible.
When I can just sit here and not have fun.
Yeah.
That is unironically my brain in bed while I'm scrolling. It's like, oh no, but it's hard to get out of bed, so I should just sit here and be miserable.
Yep. Yeah.
We actually have the making everything from scratch. We had so many fun things.
Yeah, we have. You can save them for next time.
Yeah, we'll save them for next time.
Yes.
This was just people on TikTok making things exactly from scratch, but it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, you made toothpaste. Okay.
The captions.
Wait, let's watch this. I'm curious.
I'll see this.
The caption is definitely not a dentist.
We were about to go to bed when I realized that we were all out of toothpaste.
We were about to go to
Do
bed.
it in the day.
Yes, I think there is a part of it that is like the thing that probably that I can already find grating to me is this idea that we have to do this always right before bed, which is the time that I never want to do anything. And it's really, it is the most like, look at me, I can still keep working even though it's after
my executive function
PM.
levels are out of this world.
It's
not
what's
that
like? That's great.
It's not rise and grind to have ignored the fact that you're running out of toothpaste. You should have more toothpaste.
There's a certain point where it's, if I hit 9:30 p.m. and there's no toothpaste, guess I'm gonna have a stinky mouth when I wake up. I'm not doing nothing about this.
Because also it's like if you brush your teeth in the morning, you should have noticed that
you were about to run out of toothpaste.
So my husband went downstairs to make some. Lucky is very precise in his measurements, so he started up.
I see why people hate this. They're putting it in my face.
Yeah, there is that. Here's the thing.
I'm alone.
Live how you love. Do what you want, and that's great. I I think that's fantastic for you. If I came over to your house and this was how you act 24/7, I will leave and I'll judge you, but I'll also understand that you just have a different life to me.
Yeah,
and
just a
that's
different life.
beautiful.
Just a
That's
different
great
life.
for you. There's a certain point where I have to understand that it is my problem that I can't stop being productive. That's my issue when I'm like coming home and I'm like, I have to do this thing or
They're
else
like tuned to a different frequency.
Exactly.
They're equally valid. At least as far as I know. I don't know enough about
There's
this place.
something eerie as well, though. I feel like if I went round to their house, I don't know if they'd let me leave.
Yeah. Well-
I'd become an ingredient.
But also it's something that we kind of touched on a little earlier was where it's like everything we watch online, we have to remember that it was put there. Like it was, there's nothing ends up on online by accident.
Your kitchen is not lit for the camera
Exactly.
naturally like this.
Yeah. So when you're looking at this, it's like this means you went and set up that. Like that's why it was real funny when people started making fun of the guy who was going shopping at Target to be like, for you to catch yourself walking in a Target, you had to go set up a tripod, walk out the Target, and it's like it's the same thing here. And I think we kind of let our guard down when it is at home stuff. But it's like, no, you still had to light this kitchen. You still had to sit there. You're telling me that you are this well dressed. You got your kid holding. Like
I have, spent time with plenty of new parents, and I cannot think of a thing less fun than being like, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hold my baby next to my partner as they are doing work at this point in time. It's
as
like,
they're
no,
making
I got to do
their
other
own
stuff.
toothpaste.
We are both very busy right now.
Remember, my child did doo-doo, but we were out of diapers. So I went outside and I was able to go through our roses, extract the petals, and construct a diaper from
I
scratch.
cut down the tree and I used the paper mill that was next door.
Another bark diaper for Jeremy.
It's just woodworked diaper.
Yeah.
It's a wooden baby.
Reusable.
I want to see how they describe how you make toothpaste.
Yes.
I mean, it could
Now I'm
be-
just curious. Now I do need
now
to make
so I
toothpaste.
need to know.
I didn't have toothpaste this morning, so I am going to be using
Right,
this
I'm
when
going to
I
go
home.
buy all the
Yes.
ingredients.
Some bentonite clay, he added that to a bowl with a tablespoon of water. We weren't making a huge batch, so this was more than enough. He mixed it until it was all smooth and broke a
making me
spoon.
angry.
Wait. You should make a huge batch. You're out of toothpaste.
They make a single serving of toothpaste every night.
This is why you keep running out.
Yeah, look, you can meal prep this. This is allowed. Go ahead and make a bunch of it. It's not going to go bad, I don't think.
It's roasting a chicken, eating one of the legs, and then throwing it away.
Life hack, I buy my toothpaste in bulk. So even when I run out, I have another one.
Yes.
There's so many ingredients.
Then he moved on to measuring out some coconut oil and adding that to our clay mixture. He also added a teaspoon of baking soda. He gave that a really good mix, made sure everything was combined before he added the last two ingredients, which were some stevia and peppermint essential oil. We love our toothpaste.
Are these
quite minty, so
PJs?
he added
Wait a
These are like about
second.
to go
Wait
to
a
bed.
second. Just hold this for a moment. This is the pose that happened right there as he was mixing.
yes.
It's just like JoJo pose.
Oh yeah, look at him.
It's not me noticing that my knee hurts because I've been pushing my spine into my side again.
Everything
like,
is just too perfect. You know what I
It's
mean?
nice.
Well, yeah, it's very clean aesthetic.
He's like
and-
he's got country club like nighty nights on.
There is something off-putting. I heard somebody describe the other day as like, you know, those Instagram parents and they have beige children. Like everything they wear, and like their room, every filter. It's a beige house with beige wearing child.
Yeah.
There is something like, okay, that aesthetic is so intentional, clearly intentional. And the audience, anybody on a social media platform, especially Instagram, knows how it works. Yeah. There's something that's almost insidious a little bit about when the aesthetic is so fucking joyless. They're like, she was holding a newborn and they were making toothpaste silently, dourly, like not smiling.
Yeah.
Like, geez, what happened? Did something happen?
You know what's mean that I just thought of?
I can't wait to hear it.
I don't know if I could be friends with somebody who talk like that all the time.
Oh God, no.
It would be. It's
Well,
that's.
it's I don't
was
know,
thinking
like,
of going to the park today.
Excuse me if I'm wrong. It just feels put on. Like I'd love to see Nara
And that's
do
why
a-
I'm like, I don't want to assume. This is always the thing
but
with
so-
content. I assume I truly do assume the worst, but then I have to catch myself and go, well, I don't know it for sure.
Yeah,
We were right about Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah. Everything about this is so manufactured that it's like, yeah, you definitely want to be the soft-spoken wife,
and that's
like,
okay to sell. That's okay to like be your content.
Well,
I guess
it becomes clear when you watch a video like this. I think before it felt more innocuous, where it's like my kid ran out of this, so I'm going to do this, and it seemed like it was just like dishes, it was food. Yeah. But I think when you are kind of like being like this model family, it's like. I think there's a part of you, even though media literacy is dead, there's still a part of people's brains that they're like, what is this person trying to say? And I think that's what makes them so livid is like, what are you selling to us? What are you saying about this? And I just,
a lot of it is a vibes-based criticism, but that like the medical precision, like, I do not see an equality between medical precision and the value of the family, and it does feel to some extent. And again, I'm just going on feel, but we've known people like this. It is not. Yeah. It's like you said, everything's very intentional, and there is something eerie to me about someone that would publish it not understanding the reaction, because it's not really raging.
Yeah, we're 2 decades into social media manicured perfect lives. People start to feel bad about their own lives because of how it's presented. And so that's what makes me more cynical about when things appear too perfect. You know?
If this person is like, here's how I make toothpaste and I do this literally every day, and here's a way that you could do it, that's fine. As opposed to this is the way it should be done. This is how I am a good mother, and this is why you're a bad one. Like I
can't toothpaste in my cashmere pajamas.
Yeah, look, I can't be hypocritical, or I will be hypocritical by saying like, ooh, this is not my vibe, but I will watch someone who's like here's how I made a bunch of squash in my little tiny plot outside my LA apartment, and I'll be like, this rules, and I'm like, this is wish fulfillment to me because I don't have this.
I mean, my version of this is like, I found this old Nintendo 64 and I'm going to clean it real good.
Exactly.
It's going to look brand new at the end.
Exactly.
Look at this. It's a toothpick going between the grooves.
Well,
whose old skin is this?
I've got this refurbished PS5. We're going to see if we can turn this into a brand new resale.
I know, but it is funny you say that, because I think that is what it is. I haven't been able to put my finger on it, but it's this like kind of omission, right? Where it's just presented, because I am getting very tired of these like kind of like soulless, voiceless kind of presentational videos where it's like, I'm not saying anything. So if you're saying that I'm saying this is bad, you put it there because I didn't say anything. But it's like, you're not saying anything. So why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
Going on?
What is going on here? Because it's like, because when Martha Stewart does shit, she's like, hey, I'm doing this because this is how I like to do it. This is what I like to do. Then she specifically says, I am doing this. You don't have to. You are choosing not to say anything but present it and show like your family and you being next to it. And if someone has a problem with you, it's like, well, I'm just posting videos. Like, but you're not saying anything. Tell us what you want.
Great question though. What is the bio of this account and how many followers do they have?
Oh, a shit ton.
Yeah. Oh my God. 7.5.
Oh, hell yeah. Awesome.
It's just the name.
Yeah. What
this is? Oh, yeah. This is
random.
This is random IG.
Okay.
This is random, dude. Wow. I actually really like random.
Let's bring it back.
I want to see let's finish the toothpaste. I want to see him brush with it.
Yeah, we do got to see him brush.
Oh, dude.
If you don't show it brushing.
What is manicured brushing?
Before mixing that up one last time and transferring that over to a glass container. I know everyone's teeth are different, so this might not work for everyone, but the smell of this...
Everyone's teeth aren't that different. Wait.
Most teeth are pretty similar. There's a lot of times when I'm like, yes, bodies are different and everything. Teeth are different, sure.
About as close as you get.
But in general...
But like
everyone has different vision. The eyes.
But like when I go to the dentist and I go, well, everybody's teeth are different, so your cavities are fine.
Well, here's the thing. The thing about this and why I think I do get just a little like turned up in it is that this would be like a very dope zero waste infused. And I tried to go zero waste. And I say all that to say from the start of this video, I knew that was what it was going to look like because I tried to go zero waste with toothpaste, and those toothpastes suck so bad. It sucks so hard. They're very like clay-y, and it doesn't foam up, and it gets caught in your mouth. It tastes bad. And I can tell because Nara put the smallest smidgen on that toothbrush before brushing it, because I know she knows it tastes like
when
shit.
somebody does the kitchen counter food and they have their friend try it and they like take a little tiny
oh,
delicious. How much garlic did you put in this?
But
Did you say the N-word?
Why are you
Tastes
saying
like
that?
you might have said the N-word when you
Spelled
were
out
making
with
it.
SpaghettiOs.
yeah, and like I know that Nara deals with a lot of projection, and I kind of presented why I think that Nara deals with a lot of projection, but there's just something so Aryan about her husband, and I think he needs to turn it down.
doesn't help,
I think he
yeah.
neast to turn that shit down at least 50%.
What do you think he could do to fix that?
The
Because-
hairstyle, that is definitely like if I showed someone a clip of this and be like, oh, this is from a movie. What is it about? Oh, the resurgence of Hitler.
Yeah.
Like
an alternate timeline where the Nazis were so
like
successful.
they're so like it is so Aryan.
I mean, look, there was a time when I was like, oh, I bet I could rock an undercut, and then every alt-right guy in the world
Yeah.
did, and I was like, I guess I gotta grow my hair out. I guess that's what's gonna have to happen.
You have
That
gorgeous hair,
spread
by the way.
real
Thank you very
fast.
much.
To the
Yeah.
alt-right. Not unlike the first time it actually
Yeah.
got really popular.
I've just been trying to wear my khakis and my black polo shirts, and I can't do it anymore as a white man. What a
What the hell's
shame.
going on? I had a red armband that was fetching.
Yeah, even that Elvis swoop that I tell you're trying to do, I'm like, nah, bro, it's just giving. It's giving Secret Police.
It's giving Inglorious.
Yeah.
Going to make toothpaste?
Yeah.
I'm going to make toothpaste. What is going on, my American brothers?
Yeah. And it doesn't help that she is like the whitest black woman, and
She's
I
perfect
and
for
I
me.
want nothing but the best for her because I do like to see my queens win, but everything about it is like, I'm like, just give us something, Nara. Like give us narrative. Like, I know this is like slowly building into you getting a TLC show or something like that. What will help is giving us some kind of narrative. I know you're trying to play the coy card and sit in the middle. No, go ahead and give us a narrative because I'm so sure that there are white supremacists that are using these aesthetic videos as like, this is what it should be like.
Oh, yeah, the Grecian ideal or
Yeah.
whatever.
So I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't talk about actually before we
we
wrap
did.
this
yes,
episode.
yes.
That's right.
2 out of 5. That's the talking about. Feedback.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
okay.
said you like feedback?
I love feedback.
You love
Thank
feedback,
you.
and then the feedback is not actionable. 2 out of 5.
Yeah, just 2 out of 5.
2 out of
we
5.
have
You
feedback.
figure it out.
Make it better.
Yeah.
First off, for those who don't know, Dropout is a subscription service. Very, very cool service that has lots of shows with very, very funny comedians on it. I don't even know how to describe it. And then one of those shows is actually it's a trivia show.
Yes.
That it's like a trivia panel show. Have lots of guests on. Jordan and myself are on with Sad Boys guest Dimia Dejuibe.
Yeah.
And it is hosted by Iffy, and Brian is the fact checker.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, like, what has that experience been like for you guys? Because you just finished your first season,
Yeah.
and it's airing, and things are airing now.
Finishing up, the airing is still going on, and we are currently in the process of getting the next one.
Yeah, the next one going. Yeah, we finished that back in November. Y'all were actually the last episode that we shot,
Nice.
which was funny looking at the
Because of us.
comments.
I don't want to do this
Everyone's
anymore.
like, this one is so good. You could tell they got it. I'm like, yeah, because that's the last one we did.
Yeah.
Like, we finally hit our groove. And, it is funny because I think the whole season is good, but it has been like an interesting transitionary period for me because, like Brian said, don't read the things that make you feel bad. For some reason, I read comments like I pull magic cards where like I'll go, a good one was like, okay, this is good, let's look at the next one. Oh, this is good, let's check the next one. And because
do that. I
try
do,
because
like, I have, like,
try
I
and do because
squinted.
what I try and do is if I do read one that upsets me, I stop there instead of, I know some people will just read a bunch and let it hit.
Yeah, you don't open a new pack.
Yeah, I read until I get the bad one and I'm like, all right, I'm
All
gone.
right, that's
It'd be like
foil,
every
and we
bad
can't-
card, cut your hand open.
yeah, I know. It's so
You just kept doing it, your fingers are falling off. You're
Yeah,
like, why are we
that's
doing
it.
this?
But yeah, no, your episode is the current favorite among the Reddit, which stunk.
Oh, hell
Not that stinks. I think going to the
because
Reddit
it was
stinks
really
because
a bad one. It was
because-
pretty low
no,
energy.
I was real hyped about it. I mean, I think it also helped that we love everyone there,
yeah.
so there's like everyone was locked in. But the Discord is dead. But the Discord, I think people tiptoed a bunch because they're like, well, they knew, and I was very because I would pop in to answer like trivia type questions, like when people would be like, I don't know why they didn't ask the any WWE questions when Xavier was there. I was like, well, let me tell you about that process.
Right.
You know, just fun BTS stuff. But I could tell the conversation because I would see people like shit talking, but I would just ignore it and just talk to that person. I would just tell people go like this. But now, you know, Reddit, you know, they know I'm there and don't care. Like I've commented once and I've commented a trivia thing and no one even responded to it. They're like, nope, this is our space to talk shit and say things. And I'm like, you know what? You're right.
I just go into a games workshop to learn to play.
Yeah.
Like we're not going to cater to you at all.
Yeah. Fuck you.
I'm glad people like our episode. I was so in my head the whole time.
Really?
Yeah. And it's like, I think because I got actually mad that I kept forgetting to say, actually. Because I was like, I would know the answer to something and then because I'd get so excited.
That's the trick. That's the trick of them. And that's what would happen to me a lot of times is a lot of times when I was a contestant, I would spend times figuring out like, okay, I know where it's wrong. And I would do it, which is why it's so funny when people say I give it up too easy because I was like, this is how I became champion. So you can't tell me that Mic Trap wasn't easy to getting close enough because I got so many points. But then if I knew it, then it's like a buzz in and you say it because you know
you get so excited. And so I was like, I was in my head like fighting demons, trying to like, you know, like the show must go on. You're like, put it like sidebar, you know, because it's like, and but you were so funny.
Oh, thanks, dude.
And
you were funny too, Joe.
Okay, thank you. Dimmy was great.
The dynamic, I think, all of us knew each other. Everyone.
Oh, that also made me feel like more comfortable. Yeah.
Well, that's one thing we learned and why like now, and even like friends who've done the show before, like I've had to be like, hey, because there's been friends who've done the show who like didn't get the call last season. It was like the two things happened. Those couches fill up way faster than I thought they did. Like we would be like, Brian knows all of the extra names I was trying to throw on and I'd be like, oh, there's no space for him. No. And two, we build whole couches now. Yeah. So instead of it being like a smattering of people, we saw it firsthand with like y'all and everyone who came on. It's like, since everyone knows each other, they're more comfortable ribbing. They're more comfortable being assholes about getting the points. And it just made for a better show.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I'll kill Dimmy in the street if I see him. No, I'm just kidding.
I feel like if I were to attack Demi, he would activate like Yoda mode. he would Revenge of the Sith Yoda.
Just because he's
just
short,
start flipping over my head. He's wise.
There's a framing where it's like there's a screen cap where, you know, people think I'm short because I'm always next to Jordan and I'm just like a little bit shorter than Jordan. Yeah. And then I think we're a little bit forward in the frame, and just because of the perspective, Dimmy looks so small. He is not that short as he looks.
Literally Peter Jackson style.
I was like, yeah, we need to do some forced perspective.
Yeah, we need to bring on Peter Jackson. Make sure that Jordan gets the Gandalf treatment.
Episode we had.
We had to cut that dining table in half and make some of it closer.
No, but it was so fun, and your whole team, everyone was like so on it.
Hell, what a production! I mean, you know, damn,
it's really cool to see like the final product come together. And I'm excited for you guys. It's like it's so cool.
Well, thank you.
I also loved both of your very important people episodes.
Oh, man,
I got pulled in. Yes, I did not know it was you when I first started seeing those clips, and then they started blowing up, and I started seeing them more. And then I started to recognize more and more people that were on it, and then I went back and saw the Dead Cell one again. I'm like,
I think I may have texted you when I saw it, because I was just like, you're such a talented improviser, Iffy, and I was just like losing my shit watching the Denzel episode. Yeah, and then Brian, your like arm.
When they gave me the arm, I was like, oh, I get this now.
This is fun.
This morning I had the clip where you're offering Vic ultimate power. Yeah, and I mean she's amazing.
Vic is so good. That was the thing, is that like I have said this before, where I'm like, I'm okay at improv. I think I'm like in the slightly better than average part of the bell curve, but that's partially because improv can get real bad. There's some very bad improvisers.
I would not say you were bad at improv by any means. I think you're great.
Thank you. But I was like, the reason when they reached out and they were like, here's the idea, we'll put you in really cool makeup, I was originally like, I want to do that just because I want to do that. Right. But I was also like, it might not be great. I might not feel super comfortable. Wow. And then they were like, oh, but Vic will be the host. And I had never met Vic before, but I'd seen a bunch of their work. And I was like, okay, I trust them with my life. Like they are so spot
I heard them
on.
a ton on Comedy Bang Bang and did later here in bunch. And I'm like, okay, this is just the master of the craft or whatever. But I think there's something, just like the genesis of that show is the best version of what that show could be. Because high concept, hey, we're going to do an interview show where people come in makeup and they come into the character. That does not by any means include, and it's going to be hosted by a transatlantic speaking style of slightly snooty character who is very socially unaware. So good. On this kind, like a Johnny Carson style set, that's a genius idea, and I think her having in the fear of you staying in her guest house. And the fear of the frustration that no one likes her for Brian's episode.
Yeah, they were like, when doing things with Vic, they were on top of meeting me where I'm at. Because, you kind of, I wonder if it was the same for you, but you're doing the mirror scene where you're coming up with your character. And then you sit down with Vic and then they are meeting you for the first time. They don't know what your character is.
That's awesome.
And so you're going around the bush, so the fluff, that moon thing was just them just kind of sticking to their ground on there. Right. And I was like, okay, this is a more fun version of what we were doing. And they are just so good at seeing where you're going with
like justifying and keeping the reality, if this is true, what else is true. Like that stuff with the improv is just you can tell when someone's really got it and really locked in.
And there's something so obviously there's the satisfaction of delivering a really good joke or landing the flight, but then there's also the satisfaction of giving somebody exactly the ramp they are the best at. And that is that, I don't know, everything I've seen of that show, obviously I don't see the unedited versions, but everything I see in the cut down just feels like it is very natural. The
improv is hard to do on camera in any
improv. There's a reason why, if you go to a lot of improv shows, they're like, "Don't film this because it's not going to translate.
It's going to be funny in the moment,
but don't do that." And that's the other reason is that I'm the only people I trust to edit improv is Dropout. They are the only people who know how to do it well, and it is a skill. Being able to even in improv shows, you have people who are maybe not the best improvisers, but know how to cut a scene where it's and stop. And then we're going to go to a new thing. And it's if you have someone who's really good at that, they are a lifesaver. They
edit. In improv, it's called the edit, but then now you actually have
an actual edit.
Does it help you guys at all that it feels like that Dropout has, despite having a lot of shows, has kind of a house style to some extent?
Oh yeah, I definitely think so. And they are very good about being, and I think what makes it work is everyone kind of steers their own ship. So when they hit me up to take over, I kind of was well, as a live performer and as someone who likes going to cons, being able to write them off and have, and also be able to do things. I was well, Mike never did cons and stuff. And I would personally want to do that and do live versions. And they were right. It's your show. If you want to do live stuff. So I always hit up Brian. I'm like, hey, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? And it's funny because, up top, Brian being if he's the con guy who loves cons. And it is very fun getting to, travel with Brian, bring Brian to cons, but also realizing how much Brian doesn't go to cons because people were thanks, iffy, Brian never comes to anything.
No, it's, I don't go to cons. I just that's from a personal standpoint. I'm just bad with crowds. Yeah. I'm just not great with it. Yes. And so, but that being said, if he did 2 months ago, was hey, I'm thinking I'm going to MagicCon. Do you want to go? And I was finally, I have an excuse to not go to this convention because I don't know a single thing about magic. And then in the past month, I've been you know what? Actually, I do want to go to Las Vegas for a con for magic.
Yes.
3 things that I would have never said in my whole life.
TwitchCon was in Vegas this year, and I was I never want to go back to Vegas. And then M was MagicCon October, and I was I'm in. And then Vegas, and I was I'll make it work. I think I'm down.
Aimlessness does make crowds and environments like that worse. It feels like you can't direct yourself away from it.
No. And I've told you this privately, Brian, and I'm going to say it again publicly, and also to Jarvis, who might be in Vegas. You always feel free to lean on me too if you're just hey bud,
Yes.
like, because I'm real good at like just beelining because I'm so big that it's like grab onto my shirt, we're out of here.
It was helpful, I will say. I mean, both it like, you know, Iffy attracts a lot of attention, but Iffy also can book it. And so I was just like scooting behind him the whole time. It was beautiful. It's weird because like now as an adult, I'm getting into things like magic. I'm getting back into things that either I was like avoiding because I was like, I already have this list of nerd shit. I can't go further into it. But I am like, I'm getting back into sewing and I'm like, it'd be fun to cosplay. But I'm also like, I'd only if I have a mask on, only if it's a masked character. And then I'm going to New York Comic Con because that's the most place. Like, I just want to go and experience it as a normal person because that is where I would have fun. Except for Magic Con, where I'd be like, I want to buy every single one of these booster boxes.
I can't have this mask getting in the way of my play.
I'm so stoked to see the artist too and get.
That's what's really cool about Magic because Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if they list the illustrator. They used to not, but Pokemon, the artists aren't allowed. They're allowed to sell their work, but they're not allowed to do anything with Pokemon characters in it. Gotcha. But with Magic, I think they can sell prints of like the art that's on the card.
They can even get like the proofs, which are the early kind of prints of cards that they get and sign.
That's
and they usually
sick.
do the other side. And I'm like, there's so much cool stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I'll come. I'll go to Magic Con.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll pick up
make a little field trip.
Yeah.
Take out my family blade.
Yes.
Take the rust off.
Oh, yeah.
One more job.
Okay, gang. I think this is a great place to call it. Thanks, Brian. Hold on. Brian. That's
Brian David
Damon Gibbler.
Yes, correct.
Yes. Iffy, thank you so much for joining us. The fun don't stop here. We're going to head over to Sad Boyz Nightz, our exclusive Patreon podcast on patreon.com/sadboys, where we will continue hanging out. Iffy, Brian, do you have anything that you want to shout out?
Oh, yes. Hey, if you're watching this from London and you enjoy live comedy, you're your spot. I'm going to be at Leicester Square Theater September 6th doing a stand-up. So come on out, buy those tickets so I can sell it out. But yeah, hey, check it out. It'll be a good time. Obviously, watch Actually and our relationship podcast with Emmy and Iffy, where it's like, Jarvis, you were just on this week's as of recording.
I was on this week's.
Those are the two things. I'm on a bunch of podcasts. Those are the ones I'll do. And
I was just gonna say Dropout. You can get a Dropout subscription and watch our episode of Actually as a great way to just like slide on in to like this exact group of people. Won't challenge you, and it also Demi's there, who you may be familiar with from Sad Boys as well.
He will challenge you. That's the only challenging part.
He's challenged me, and I'm afraid of it.
Yeah, flipping around.
Brian, how about you?
I'm not doing any live shows or anything, but I'll be posting more things on YouTube soon. I've just been trying to backlog stuff for a bit.
Yeah,
and then
nice.
again, come watch Actually, and then the second season, we're going to be filming it soon, but it'll take a while to come out, but it's going to be fun. I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Check the YouTube. That's where the video will be. And I'm going to start posting eventually. We'll see. We were talking about some stuff.
Yeah, it's happening.
Yeah.
We end every episode of Sad Boys with a particular phrase. We love you.
And we're sorry.
Boom.
How did you propose?
I proposed in New York when we went to the place we had our first date at, during our first date, I was like, oh, she hates me. We were walking to the subway and she tripped and I like reached out to make sure she didn't fall. And I thought she held my hand. She thought I held her hand. But then we were regardless holding hands.
Beautiful.
It was very nice. In my head, I was like, I know exactly where this happened. I have it. I locked it in. I'm going to go back and we're going to like go. I was like, oh, just to like humor me, would you like trip again? And then that's when I'll propose is my plan. I was like, oh, let's just go see if we can find it together. Like it would be good to go. And we get there 30 minutes before. I'm like, this is going to be plenty of time for me to propose. It'll be good. We get there and we realize that we have exactly opposite memories of where this happened.
Oh no.
Gucci girl, how you doing? How you moving, girl? Moving, girl. How's your day looking? That future girl, yeah, we on now. Take my money, go away, all you want it. Girl, too rich for me.